the market started going up. And they're like, it doesn't make sense for the market to go up. It's going up because those people are stupid, and it's about to drop. And it kept going up higher, and they're like, just wait for the crash, wait for the crash. And then it's higher than before. Well, now it's too high.
Graham, Stephan, thank you for coming on the Minority Mindset with me today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I want to jump right in.
Go on.
What are some of the habits that made you a millionaire, and what are some of the things that other people can do to kind of replicate some of the same success that you've seen?
I would say, honestly, definitely, I think living frugally helps. I've always just been a natural saver. So I think just living below your means consistently, saving the money and investing it is so important. And, in terms of reaching $1 million, I think that at the end of the day, like it'll cost $1 million. Like you have to have the $1 million. And if you're out there blowing it all, you're never going to get there. Even if you make $500,000 a year, if you're spending $600,000 a year, it's just the math doesn't work in your favor. So I think definitely there has to be a savings aspect of that, but also that you have to really enjoy what you do to the point where you're going to put up with all of that for long enough to actually hit $1 million.
What was the path for you to make your first million? Because you were in your 20s.
Yeah, 25 or 26. I think it was. Wow. I think it was 26 when I hit $1 million.
Is that $1 million of income, $1 million in the bank, $1 million of net worth?
Net worth. Pretty much 100% of that was real estate.
Okay.
The commissions I was making at the time, I was working as a real estate agent, and I think the first year I made, I don't know, 50 grand. It was like the first 9 months I had made maybe like 30, 40 grand.
And how old are you then?
18.
Okay.
18 turning 19. And that was all like lease commissions. So I would rent a place as a real estate agent, help a tenant, and I get a little commission in the process. Those commissions would be anywhere from like a few $100s on the low end to a few $1,000s on the high end, just depending on what the deal was. But eventually I started selling real estate. So those tenants would come to me eventually and buy a place. My income went up. I just saved all of it. 21, I bought my first property. It was like the bottom of the market. And those offers, by the way, when I was 21, it was 2011. Those offers I had been writing for like a year. And every property was a short sale. So it's like bank owned, foreclosures. They took forever to get back to you. So I basically saw this as an opportunity to write as many offers as I could. Didn't matter what it was. And I identified this area in San Bernardino that I really liked. And I saw every house. So every weekend I drive an hour and a half, go to San Bernardino, see every house up there, and just get to know the market. And any house that came up, like I would instantly know, like, oh, this house is probably worth about this relative to everything else. Just write an offer. Probably 80% of the offers just they didn't answer or they didn't pick it. But I got 20% of my offers accepted, maybe 15%. I'm rounding. But they got sent to the bank, and I just wait. And then sometimes the banks would come back and say, hey, we want this amount. And it'd be, well, not worth it. But anyway, so I basically just took this as a first come, first served basis. When a bank would get back to me, I'd make the decision at that time if I wanted to go through with it. The first place I bought, I think it was a short sale. It's 10 years ago. But the lady, I think, who owned it took out a mortgage of like $350,000 on this house. I mean, it was
How much was it on sale for now?
$59,500.
Holy cow!
Yeah, California too.
Holy moly!
San Bernardino. So 350 down to $59,500.
Oh my
for
God!
This house. And so of course I was like, great. But back then I didn't know that was a good deal. It was like that was honestly the market.
Yeah.
Now what was crazy about this was the bank had it listed as like an 1,100 square foot house, and she was a hoarder, by the way. So like the bank's appraiser couldn't go in the house, and just kind of did a visual. That was it. They never measured the exterior of the house either. But turns out that when the seller moved out, we went in it. The contractor called me and says, "Hey, do you realize there's like a whole other section to this house that we didn't even know exists?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And it turned out that at some point, probably throughout the 90s, they had extended onto this house and created a back living room and a fourth bedroom. And so when you measured out the house, it was really more like 1,600 square feet.
Wow.
And they said that, like, listen, the permits were here. Like it was all done to code. It's just they don't know why it was never reflected in the bank's public record. And I was like, well, great. So the value of the house was like instantly what I thought I would be able to get like $900 a month in rent for. They're like, well, now you could get $1,250. I was like, wow, that's really cool. But anyway, so I bought that place. I think I rented it for maybe about $1,200 a month.
So you bought it to rent it out, not to live in.
Yeah, I bought it to rent it out. Rented it out, then bought a second property that came back to me shortly afterwards that was down the street. So it was all within like this little radius. Second place was down the street for $72,000. I spent $8,000 fixing that up. And then I rented it for $1,150. And then there was a triplex that was $125,000. Spent $15,000 fixing it up, and that the total rent on that was about $2,150.
Wow.
So I bought all of these with basically 4 years worth of savings. This was just
So those savings you were using as down payment to buy these properties.
correct. So I just basically everything in my mind I was just saving it as an agent because I was just like I don't know when the next commission is going to be. I don't know. It was so sporadic and it was so stressful. And I've seen other agents too, especially at that time, who were like, I hadn't closed a deal in a year. And I've seen like some of these other agents like really struggling and they're like working like, different jobs at night just to keep, because their market for a while was like, they just sell anything. Like anyone could get a loan.
Yeah.
But everyone stopped buying around like 2008, 9, and 10. And those buyers really didn't start coming back until like 11, 12, 13. So for those few years, the market was tanking. People were staying away because the market was going down.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. So you started buying up these properties with your savings, and then these properties started appreciating. And then you lived in a duplex as well too. Was that your first rental, your duplex one, or was that a different one?
No, that was a different one.
Okay.
No. There was a house I bought after all of that. So after all of those, I then bought a house for myself.
Okay, so then you decided, first you bought houses for other people.
Yes.
Then you bought a house for yourself.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah. So then the house I bought for myself was West Los Angeles, and fixed it up. And but I would say in between those first three places, an increasing income as a real estate agent and the appreciation by 26, there was that $1 million point. And I checked it. Like I had a Mint account. I still have that Mint account, but I would check it every single month and like watch my expenses, every penny that went in, every penny that went out. Like I was so vigilant down to like the dollar.
Yeah.
And even at that point too, like I wouldn't go to Subway even and get like the extra like deluxe sandwich because I was like, that's an extra $2. So why am I going to spend an extra $2 on that? So I really discounted everything.
Really? So you were monitoring every penny that came in and out?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was probably to the point where it was like minor OCD because I was so hyper fixated on every single dollar. It probably was unhealthy, but like it helped certainly financially, but like, yeah, if I would hang out with friends and they would go like, hey, we're going to Pinkberry, like I'd go with them, but I wouldn't get the Pinkberry because I was like, I may as well save the $5. Like this is too much. It's too expensive.
What made you want to become a millionaire and become wealthy? Like what was your driving factor to do that?
I like saving. It's
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, first of all, it sounds like it had that ring to it to be like, ooh, I was a millionaire. So I'd always wanted to be able to get to that milestone. And to me, it was definitely an achievement of something like, how many people could say that they've done that. So for me, it was a bit of that, but also just like, I like saving. And for me, it was a bit like, it was just, I had this fixation towards just, how could I save money? How could I how could I figure out what I need to live on and just do that? And that's what makes me happy. Like, it's just, I like the aspect of saving.
So you're not the type of person to like make $1,000, go to the mall, blow it on a Gucci scarf.
No, I couldn't. I just couldn't do that. I feel even now I can't do it because I still have the same. I don't know what you want to say, like the same thinking of like what $20 is. Because I remember being like 16, and I think my mom and my dad at the same time, like both filed bankruptcy at the same. This is like 2016, and I remember having like $20. And this is when I was working at a part-time job throughout high school. And I was saving that too. But I remember like seeing what they're going through and having $20 and being like, okay, well, $20, I could split $15 of this in gas. And then $5 of that would be a Subway sandwich. And like I could split the Subway sandwich in two. And that'll be like lunch the next day or something like that. So I still remember like $20, like how far that could go. So spending more than that on a scarf or like, or really anything like that. It's like I look back to that and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'd rather just a Subway sandwich.
That's powerful, man,
Yeah.
because it's, your upbringing has stuck with you. And for a lot of people, that's hard because they go through bankruptcies, they see this, and then either it breaks them or it can make them tougher.
Yeah.
And I think that's the tough thing is what is that kind of inner driving factor? Because nowadays, I'm sure people come to you and say, Graham, you got millions, man. Let's go shopping. Let's go fly around the world.
Yeah.
Let's go do something big. You're still saying no.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a bit to a fault now because people are saying, you should live a little. You should enjoy it. Honestly, the aquarium was the only thing. So I spent probably at this point like 50 grand on that aquarium that you see in the front.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
It's nice for the fish.
Yeah.
They're living large.
They are. But that's the one thing for me where I didn't look at the cost was the aquarium because I knew like whatever I'm spending on that, I'm not getting it back. There's no way. So that's the one thing where it's just like, if I have one thing, like, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't party. It's like, if I have one thing that I could do, it's that aquarium. Even the piano that I have in the living room, like I was very cognizant to do research on pianos to figure out like which ones have the best resale value and to buy a used one that I knew I'd be able to resell at the same price. So that piano was something too. It's like, I think the piano was like 16 grand, but it retailed for $80,000.
Wow.
Yeah, 80 grand for a piano is nuts. But I looked at the resale market of those pianos. It's like, you could sell them between 14 and 17. So worst case, I lose $1,000.
So you're buying everything as an investment. You're looking at the price of things, and you're looking at what it could be worth more in the future. What it could be worth in the future. I mean, you're paying attention to the cost of whatever you're
everything. Yeah. So my thinking is, I have no problem spending money as long as I could get that money back. So it's like no different than a savings account. Same thing with the car, the Ford GT. It's a very expensive car, but I see that as an investment that's worth more than what I paid for it. And I'll be able to sell it worst case and just break even.
Yeah.
So it's no different than having a bond or a CD. If anything, it's probably better than those because I think these cars are probably going to rise above inflation.
Wow. Well, the good news is also you can afford it. So you're buying what you can afford. You're not going out and spending money that you don't have.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Which I think is one of the most important things.
That's true.
So real estate was a big factor in helping you build your wealth as well. How can somebody go out and do what Graham did and go and invest in their first rental property?
Yeah, it's tough now. I made so many videos on YouTube that I thought like 4 years ago, these are going to be evergreen videos. They're always going to be relevant.
Yeah.
And in those videos, I'm like, you got to look and find a deal that's 20% below what it's worth. Like that doesn't exist now. You can't do that. It's very difficult to find those deals because everybody wants those deals. So I would say you got to do what you can control, which is what your credit score is. So get a good credit score, pay off your debts on time. Make sure that's above like a 740, 760 at the lowest. Preferably you want to be around 770, 780. Just make sure you have a bit of a buffer. Save money, live below your means. Try to get about a 20% down payment if possible. You can get loans for less. But I would say 20%, I would aim for that. If you're able to buy with less, great. And then educate yourself on the market. Go and see every house that comes up. And it's fun too. I enjoyed it. I would basically just print out a list, and I was an agent, so I had access to the MLS. And every day I'd look at new properties, sort by newest, go and look at them. It's fun. It's a fun process. And then I would just schedule times to go and see them. And I mean, back then they were all in lockbox, so you could just like go and show up anytime you want to see these houses. But just educate yourself on the market. And then once you see probably 50 to 60 houses, you'll have a pretty good understanding of what the market is, what's a good deal, what's not, what's overpriced, what you want, and start looking for deals. And you could lowball them if you want to. And when you find a deal that you really like, run the numbers and ask questions, talk to different agents. I think if you're starting off brand new and you have no one to talk to, it makes sense to get a good agent on your side who knows the market, who specializes in rental properties, not like your uncle's cousin who's a friend, who's an agent on the side. You want like a full-time agent who specializes in this, and this is like what they're really good at. You want someone like that on your side who could give you unbiased advice. You could pay them too, or just have them represent you. The thing with agent, a lot of people think that they just want to like sell you on something, and some do, but for a lot of people, they want to build the relationship. They're not looking at this as like a one-time sale. The bad agents do that. But the good agents see this as like, well, he's buying a place now. It might not be the most expensive place, but 10 years from now, he's going to buy something more expensive. and he's probably going to refer me people, or she, and so they see this as a long-term business. But those people usually won't screw you on that. They'll want your business long-term.
What type of cash flow are you looking for when you buy a rental property? What's important to you?
Back then, I really didn't pay attention. To be honest with you, I was more concerned about like what I thought these places would be worth in the future. Now that's a California thing of getting appreciation. Especially now, it's just like you can't really use like the 1% rule where it's like what the rent is equal to 1% of the purchase price.
So you buy a home for $100,000, it would rent for $1,000 a month.
Yeah, it just doesn't exist in California. Some places do, but back from me, I basically looked at like what was going to be a great property that I wasn't going to have problems with, that would be easy for me to rent out, that would attract a good tenant, and that I would be able to get a fair market rent for. That's really all I looked at. I didn't look for any sort of metric. Now, on a lot of these, I did, of course, go through and be like, all right, I estimate that I'd be able to rent it for this, compared to this place over here, which is going to be this price, and I'd offer accordingly. Back then, it was about 13 to 15% ROI on my cash is what I wanted. Yeah, it was a lot.
Wow.
Because think about it, I'm buying a place for 60 grand. Well, I'm in at 72, and I'm renting it out for $1,200 a month.
Wow.
So like the ROI was really high after property tax and insurance. I mean, there really wasn't much.
The market's not the same now.
No.
Are you still investing in real estate today?
No, it's just the time commitment now. It's my time is so focused at this point on the YouTube channel and growing that and trying to diversify within that space. Just it's like that's what I really enjoy now. I've done like 10 years of real estate.
Yeah.
And I feel like it, at least to the point where I started getting on YouTube, it just started to feel a little bit too repetitive for me. And
well, you're crushing it on YouTube now.
Thanks.
You're doing a great job. People love your channel. Our audience loves your work. You have millions of subscribers. Tell me about YouTube. Like how has that transformed your business?
It's become my business.
It's become your business.
Yeah. In the very beginning, I honestly thought that it would never eclipse what I was making as an agent. And for the first 3 years on YouTube, I always treated it like it was a side business for me. Mm-hmm. So when I first started making videos, this was my first video was posted. I think it was I took it down now, so it's unlisted. But my first video was
why'd you take it down?
Because I was swearing in it. I said some bad words in there, and So I took it down once those videos started getting views. Because I didn't think anyone would watch me. So I didn't watch what I said. And, just some passionate words were said in there. And once I started getting views, that I was concerned that clients would see that.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't want them to see me as like unprofessional because I was swearing in those videos.
You don't really swear now.
No. But yeah, so I took those down. But anyway, it was December 26, 2016 is when I posted it, like the day after Christmas.
Really?
Yeah. So that was when I posted my first video, and didn't think anyone would watch me. I was terrified of doing that too, because I was watching your channel before making videos, and I was like, if other people are doing it and people are watching and they're not like, disliking videos and stuff, I'm gonna try it too. So I posted that video, and I went on comments. I was really active on YouTube, just commenting and trying to network online, and. Yeah, so I loved it so much that I was like, okay, so the first video went okay. I'm gonna post another video, and I got to a schedule with 3 times a week, and I would say within 6 months, the channel had really taken off. I think it had grown to like 40 or 50,000 subscribers. It was nuts, and at that point, I knew that like I was onto something, and I had this from the very beginning. I just had this feeling that like this is what I was meant to do.
Yeah,
but I never intended for it to be a full-time thing, because I was just like, because I've watched YouTube full-time since like 2010 basically, and that was my form of TV, and so from 2010 to 2017 at that point, I had seen so many creators come and go, and I'm like, all right, so on YouTube, people have a lifespan of anywhere from about 2 to 7 years at the very most. It's rare to see someone on YouTube for more than 7 years. Who isn't just like whose channel just and it's done.
Yeah,
those are usually that's what happens after like 5 years. So I was like, all right, it's a short-lived career. Real estate, on the other hand, I've seen people do this for like 40, 50 years as an agent. Mm-hmm. They're getting just better. So YouTube was like, you never know what's going to happen. It's so volatile. I'm never going to do this full time. It's always meant to be something part time. So I would work all day as a real estate agent, and then I would only work nights on the channel. And sometimes, I'd have downtime during the day, or like during a slow open house, I'd be editing or planning or whatever. But yeah, so for the first 3 years of doing that, YouTube was always just part-time thing. Even when the YouTube channel was making over $1 million a year just from AdSense.
And how big was your channel then?
600,000 subscribers, maybe. 700,000 subscribers. Yeah, it was making over $1 million a year on just AdSense, and didn't full time it. And everyone was telling me, Graham, you did just do it full time. I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it full time, because what I was doing was working. I was just working nights YouTube channel, but like these were late nights. Like I would from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. basically every single night, and weekends that I wasn't working as an agent. It was all YouTube.
So you were hustling.
Oh yeah, but it was all I looked forward to. Like I'd wake up in the morning and then count the hours until I could basically go home and make videos. So all day in my mind, I'm thinking of video ideas. And those early videos, I detailed a lot of my experiences as an agent. So in a way, I was like, well, that gives me content, because if I sell a house, I could talk about how I sold that house. If I leased a house, here's how I met the client. So a lot of that early content was oriented around what I was doing as an agent. So yeah, I never wanted to do that full time, because I was so scared of doing it full time. I was like, I didn't want to be that guy who's like just YouTube, if that makes sense. Because I definitely had a certain level of like, well, a lot of people talk about doing it, but I'm actually doing it. But yeah, I ended up doing YouTube full time I was 4 years into doing YouTube I think I was like I must have been 1.5 million subscribers, or like somewhere around there, where I decided to do YouTube full time.
How much were you making then when you decided to go full time with
YouTube? $2 million a year.
$2 million. Yeah. So you had $1 million a year side hustle.
Yeah.
And then when you were at $2 million, you're like, all right, I'm going to go full time.
No, I mean, that wasn't by choice, by the way. So that was when the pandemic hit. I wasn't planning on doing this full time. Or at least to the degree where it's like, this is my priority.
Yeah.
But when the pandemic hit, there was like 4 weeks where everything was shut down. Where even as an agent, they're like, you can't go into the office, no showings, no open houses. Like there was nothing.
And you were in California then?
I was in California.
So it was really strict there.
Extremely strict. And so for those 4 weeks, I'm like, there's so much going on in the market. And I noticed too with the YouTube algorithm that the content I used to make wasn't doing well. And it was odd, because before I would post a video and it would last an entire week. So like YouTube would recommend that video for a full week. And then I started posting videos and I was like, it would only recommend it for a day, 24 hours, and was done. And I'm like, wait a second. And I thought my channel was done. And I was like, oh, well, I had a good run. I said 2 to 7 years. I got 4 years in this. All right, that's not bad. At least I got out, because I went in with the expectation. Like, you never know how long it's going to last. But at that point, I'm like, well, crap, my videos are only lasting 24 hours now. There's so much going on in the market. Like, everything is new, and everything's scary. And what if I just talked about what's happening now and just simplify things? So instead of making how to invest $100 a month in your 20s, now let's talk about what the stimulus package means for you. Or now let's talk about negative interest rates in oil, or negative oil prices. Let's talk about what's happening in the markets. If we hit a circuit breaker in the market, what does that mean? And what's causing that? So I'd make these videos of just like, this is just what happened today in the market. Here's what it means for you. And people really enjoyed that content. And I think when everyone was at home and they were just like watching the market and they're freaking out over the market going down, I was just like, I was so absorbed in the computer of just like, let's figure out what this is, how to explain it to people, and just buy the dip. Just it long term. Like, here's what it means. Just it's statistically better. Just keep buying and keep holding. Don't sell unless you absolutely need the money, and get an emergency fund. So like, I just really within a few weeks of doing that, I was like, I loved it. It was just something, it was so, just every morning I woke up, and especially when you're like in the house all day, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I would wake up so like, it's early for me, but I'd be up at like 5:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, every single morning, and try to get out videos the same day.
Yeah.
And I was just so in it. I loved it.
It was a crazy time, man. I mean, people were looking for education and there was no source. And YouTube became that source for so many people. When you saw the opportunity, you seized it, and now you have millions of subscribers on your channel.
Yeah.
How much money is your channel now generating?
It's probably about 6 million, 6 to 7 million.
Wow. And how much of you're frugal, so how much of that are you spending?
Well, it depends. Some of that is discretionary back in the business. Not much. I mean, it's very little mandatory overhead because it's like we don't rent an office space this year. It's in the house. We got Alex and Jack who help on the back end, but everything else after that is really just discretionary. I think that this whole studio is like 15 grand to build out. So a lot of what I do spend is really just, is there something that would add to the channel that would make it better? So it's hard for me to spend just to spend, and that's what my accountant is telling me. Like, you need to spend money because it's hard for me to justify. Like, well, I don't need that. Like they're telling me to buy a larger car, like a heavier SUV, to be able to get the Section 179 deduction this year. And
get the full deduction of your money. Spend 100 grand on a car and deduct 100 grand.
Right, and it makes sense from the tax perspective. But I see that, well, I'm spending 100 to save 50. It's like, but I'm still spending 50 to do that. Like, I'd rather be left over with 50 than spend 100.
Yeah,
it's hard for me to get over that.
It's got to really benefit you in some way.
Yeah,
right? There's no. I don't like that idea of just spending money just to pay 30% less or 50% less in taxes when you could just have that money in your bank account and pay some of that instead of just doing it. So it's really got to provide some value.
Yeah. So the flip side is that, I invest a significant portion, and then that gives me more content to talk about on the channel. Like I put $100,000 into a portfolio picked by a monkey.
Wow.
Yeah, and that portfolio is beating the S&P 500. But that was a really calculated decision because I looked over historically. It's like, well, chances are it's going to outperform the S&P 500, but I could explain why it's going to do that, and I could put my own money at risk, and like worst case, I'm going to underperform by like slightly. So it wasn't not much of a risk, but at least it gives me something that I'm able to do and I could talk about it.
Wow. So now YouTube is almost like passive income. Obviously, you're working pretty hard to build YouTube videos. You're working all day, but some of your older videos are still paying you today.
Yeah.
What are some other things that people can do right now to start generating passive income, kind of like what you're doing?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it passive at all. In the very beginning, I probably would have said it was more passive income because when I first started making videos, I was like, well, if every video makes $1 a day and I make 500 videos, it's $500 a day.
So YouTube is not passive. So we'll ignore YouTube as a passive income because I get it. I'm working hard to make YouTube videos.
I've yet to see what happens if I don't post for like, let's say a year. Do those videos still get recommended, or do they get buried with everyone else making current content and staying up to date? So like maybe.
I mean, you take 1 week off and already you start to see you feel it.
Yeah, the true passive income sources for me right now would be the rental properties. I would say they're probably 90% passive. There's some aspects of it where, because I manage most of them myself still, and so there's some aspect of just like making sure.
Why do you manage it yourself? They're in California.
Yeah, I should, but I've had those tenants forever. Like, basically all of my tenants have been with me for at least like 4 to 5 years.
Wow.
They pay on time. So I feel weird bringing someone else in when all I really have to do is just, if they need something, they just text me, and then I will just text a plumber or something like that. Like I have everyone basically on a speed dial, and they know who to contact too. So like if something breaks, they call this plumber, or if something, they need some electrical work, they call this guy. And then those people just say like, hey, went out to the property, it's this much, good to fix. Property manager would do something similar anyway. So I was like,
how many units are we talking about?
Is it like 10?
10 units. Okay, so that's still quite a bit, man, to be managing yourself. So kudos to you for.
Thanks.
Do any of your tenants say, "Oh, Graham Stephan is my landlord"? So I don't know.
No, I don't think, because a lot of those tenants I've had before YouTube.
Okay.
So I don't think they know. Maybe they do, and they've just not said anything. Yeah. I think one tenant for sure knows, but I think they found out afterwards. But they're really nice. No, I've never gotten in a situation. Knock on wood.
Well, that's good. Yeah. So what are the other ways that someone can start generating passive income?
I like stocks and dividends. I think there's something to be said about just the ease of buying a good qualified dividend. That it's simple and anyone could do it, and you could do it with, like, if you have $100. It's just that getting that first little bit is so much fun.
Yeah.
Even if you're only getting like a 2% dividend. Doesn't matter. It's like just knowing that you invest $100, you get $2 a year, totally passively for doing whatever. that to me, I think gets people hooked. It's just like, ooh, getting passive income, even at 2%.
So you just take that money now and you can now either use it to live your life or reinvest it.
Right.
And I'm assuming you're reinvesting it. That way you can keep building the fund bigger and bigger.
Right. But I don't know. Besides that, everything else that I see people doing just requires a lot of upfront work. So it just depends on what the level of involvement is. YouTube channel, I think I could count it as a bit of passive income just because, like you said, if you believe there will be a residual income as long as you stay monetized. So that is possible, but it takes so much work. Like usually, I think if people go to YouTube for passive income, they're probably better off just working any job and investing that money instead.
Yeah.
Like anything, even a minimum wage job will probably pay you more money than YouTube in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like you have to really enjoy YouTube to stick with it.
Yeah.
And I never recommend doing YouTube for the money because I see so many people do that and they get like hyper fixated and, oh, it's not working. And it should be a fun passive thing until it gets to that point.
So where else are you investing your money then? Because you're making $6 million. You're running the YouTube channel pretty lean. So where else are you putting that money?
Stocks, cryptocurrency. If a good real estate deal comes up, I'd go for that. And different startups that I've invested in. So that's I think startups make right now about 10% of my portfolio total, and some of that growth is seen over the last year.
Yeah,
but there's been a few companies that I've been like an angel investor in, or I've gotten like one of the first few rounds, and I've enjoyed that. It's cool to kind of be a part of their team. I'm not really on the team, but it's just I've enjoyed that aspect of it.
Wow. So how many hours are you putting in a day or a week on YouTube then? Because you're pumping out good content all the time.
That's a lot. Probably 12 hours a day. Probably 6 days a week on average. I would usually say it's about 12 hours. Sometimes it'd be 14, Monday through Friday. And then Saturday, Sunday, I'll usually take either one full day off or two half days.
Wow. Because I know, your schedule is busy. Like we're recording this at 6:30 in the morning,
right? Because
that was the only other time that we had, and we were recording the other day. And you were recording till almost like 11 p.m.
Yeah, I did
the day before. So it's like, you're always working.
Yeah. But I love it. It's to some people, I'm sure it sounds like a horrible schedule, and I just want to relax, which is fine. I really, really, really like it, and if I don't do anything, I don't know. I could just get sad. It's odd for me where I like always having something to work on.
Yeah.
And it was tough for me too, even on weekends, because my girlfriend lives with me, and she's not like that. Like she's not in the mindset where it's like always got to be on.
Yeah.
I remember it was really tough for me sometimes to wake up, especially in the early days when we first met. I felt like uneasy to sit and watch a movie because in my mind I was thinking, I could be doing this.
Yeah.
I gotta paint the front door. Like that's I could be doing these chores. It's like I was always like when I do those things I feel better.
Yeah,
you're
productive, right? It's the hustler mindset. You always feel like you got to be doing it, and it gets hard now when you have a significant other and you're trying to balance that. So how do you balance that relationship with YouTube then?
It's really difficult, and right now I think that we both accepted that there's not an equal balance. That I'm definitely, I think it's just there's a position or a window of opportunity right now that I don't want to hold back from because I don't know how long it's going to last, and and I love it. Like I wouldn't be me if I didn't have that creative outlet and that drive to like really push on that. So I think we've just accepted that there's not a balance right now. I can't see myself keeping the same schedule forever. Mm-hmm. So there'll be a point where I want to scale back, but I think it's just going to happen naturally. And I've always just kind of left it up to when the time is right, it's just going to feel right. And I've always just based on, everything I've done, just a gut level feeling of just like, this is the right choice. And every single time I've had that feeling or that intuition that pulls me somewhere, I've followed it. It never led me the wrong way. And I just trust that, if I have a feeling of something, I'll pursue it.
And she supports you along the way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big key component to make sure that can work.
Yeah.
Now, you're a big also credit card guy. We were talking about real estate and how you need a good credit score in order to go out and start investing in real estate. What can somebody do right now to get a perfect score, whether it be to get, some rental properties or whatever it might be? What is the best way for someone to do that right now?
So I would say you got to get a secured credit card first if you don't have any other history.
What is that?
It's just put down a deposit and they give you a credit line that's equal to that. So let's say you put down a $300 deposit, they'll give you back a $300 credit line.
Oh.
Easy as that, very easy. And then all you do is put like a minor expense on the card, anything that you would ordinarily spend anyway. Maybe Chipotle, maybe gas,
Get
maybe
some extra guac.
get the extra guac if you could afford
If
it.
you can, yeah,
if
true.
you could afford it.
If you can
It's
afford
expensive.
it. That's the key.
Yeah, but just anything like that, and just pay it off in full. Even for the people who just like really like using debit cards, that's fine. Just get in the habit of putting one expense on the card a month and just pay it off. Just something, $5, doesn't matter. Do that for 6 months, sometimes 8 months. And you can also do that twice. You can get a Discover It secured card, or I think there's like a Capital One secured card that's really good. Just as long as there's no annual fee on it. Get them both at the same time. It doesn't matter. Do the same thing with both for 8 months. Probably build up a good enough credit score to get a Bank of America cash rewards card. This is one of the easiest ones to get. Do the same thing on that. There's a whole bunch of no annual fee credit cards that you could get. Small things on it. Get like, I think in the beginning I went crazy. I got like 5 credit cards, basically like back to back to back that were no annual fee, just so I could get as much credit history as possible. After about a year, you should be good enough, maybe sometimes a year and a half, where you should have a good enough credit score to pass most banks.
Interesting. So now you start building up your get these credit cards. Is that all you got to do then? Or just like, what if I have previous credit card debt? Is that important to pay that off first? Or
Generally, it's always a good idea just because the interest rate's so high on that. Now, some people would say, well, I got a $10,000 balance, but it's 0% interest rate for, 18 months. And then I think, well, as long as you're sure you could pay it off after the 18 months, as long as you don't get 18 months and then like, oh, now I got to pay it off because the interest rate goes to 20%.
Yeah.
As long as you could pay it off in full before you pay any interest. I don't think you should ever pay interest on a credit card. It's the worst thing you could do. But the best thing to do, honestly, is talk to a lender. And I got some of the best advice from lenders, like bank lenders. And what I've done is I've given them all my financials, and they'll go through it, and they'll say, okay, you got to get your credit score up to a 760 to get our best rate. You need to, your car lease is too expensive. Because you spend $300 a month in this lease, we're able to qualify you for less. If you get rid of the lease and you buy a car in cash instead, we'll be able to give you $300 a month more. That's an extra $40,000 you can get on your loan. If you do this, if you show a little bit more income here, we could give you a more loan. It's like they'll go through everything for you and literally tell you what you need to do to qualify for the loan that you want to get.
Interesting.
That's what I always did.
So what credit cards now do you have in your wallet, and how many?
Well, I probably have 12.
Wow.
And of those, I really only use like 2 of them. The other ones, I just do the minimum to keep active. I've had, I think, 2. I used to have more credit cards, but I just forgot to use them. And then during the pandemic, they shut them down. They sent notices, and I didn't see the notices, but they shut them down because they were inactive, and I think they were trying to de-risk. So I had a few shut down accidentally. But I only use 2 of them now. One is a Carrot credit card, which is a credit card that when we're talking about investing in startups that I invested in, I really like them a lot. They offer they're a credit card for like influencers, but they're just offering such a high reward. It's like, it just makes sense to do it. It's like up to 5% cash back. It's bad, but it's good and bad. It's good for me. It's bad for them. But they offer 3 to 5% cash back in select categories all the time. So on electronics too, I think it's like I get 4% cash back, which is like insane for electronics. But then they have these days where it's like 5% cash back days, and I have a very big limit on the card. So when I get those 5% days, I prepay everything on the 5%. It's like, you know what? They offer it. I'm a good test. If they could survive me doing this, they'll be prepared. They know what to expect. So anyway, I load up on this 5% days. The other cards that I use, the Amex, is the Amex Platinum. Amex Platinum is good for some travel rewards.
Yeah.
I used to use the Chase Sapphire Reserve a lot. They had a great travel credit, but then the JP Morgan Reserve is basically the same thing. So I just use that now.
Okay.
But really, I would say Carrot credit card is probably 90% of my expenses. It's a business card.
Oh, okay. So you got the travel card, you got the business card. Do you use any for cash back, or are you mainly looking for travel points?
That's the Carrot credit card.
The Carrot. Okay, yeah. Okay. But that's for your business expenses, though. You said.
Yeah.
Do you have like a personal one that you use just for your
Just the JP Morgan card.
Just the JP Morgan one. Very cool. So then now we talked about credit scores, we talked about real estate, we talked about YouTube. What about crypto? We're going to jump back into the video in just a second. But before we do, I want to talk to you about our Market Insiders program, because if you're interested in investing your money in the stock market and the real estate market, our Market Insiders program can really help you with that. Market Insiders is not a class. It is a weekly group coaching session. Every week, you're going to get access to a live class where you'll learn something about how to invest your money in the stock market and the real estate market. And because these classes are live, you will be able to apply what you learned to the real world. So for example, let's assume that this week's coaching session is on the topic of how to read a cash flow statement. That means for the first half of the class, you might go over what is a cash flow statement, how to find a cash flow statement, what it means, and how to understand it. And for the second half of class, if Amazon released their earnings statement this week, you might actually go over Amazon's cash flow statement. That way you can apply what you learned, since all of these coaching sessions are live. The real estate coaching sessions work the exact same way. You're going to go over a lesson like how to understand the cash flows of a property or how to find an undervalued property, and then you're going to apply what you learned to today's market. As soon as you enroll in Market Insiders, not only are you going to get access to our stock market and our real estate coaching sessions, but you're also going to get access to our stock market beginners class for free that will walk you through everything you need to know to get started investing your money in the stock market. And you're also going to get access to all the previous coaching recordings, that way you can go back and learn more, and you're going to get access to our private community of serious investors. This is our exclusive Discord community that's made just for Market Insiders, and you can go into this community, network with other investors, and you can ask your questions. When I was working to create Market Insiders, there were two things that were very important to me. First, the coaches, because I wanted to make sure that the teachers were real investors, and second, the pricing, because I wanted to make sure that it was very affordable. First, talking about the teachers, all of our coaches have been vetted. These are not some random gurus that we found. These are real investors, people who have been investing their money for years, people who've gotten great returns, and people who have the money behind them. We're talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars invested themselves. So these are real investors who are doing what they teach. And on the price side, it was very important to me that Market Insiders was an affordable program. I didn't want to create a program that would cost you $1,000 or $900 to get started with Market Insiders. I mean, it costs less than the price of dinner for two if you want to get started with Market Insiders. And you don't even got to take my word for it, because I know there's a lot of crappy products on the internet. You can try out Market Insiders for free. We have a free 10-day trial where you can go through the entire Market Insiders program, and then you can decide if it's right for you or not. During this free trial, you're going to get access to everything. You're going to get access to our group coaching sessions, you're going to get access to our free stock market class, you're going to get access to our previous recordings, and you're going to get access to our private community of investors. This way, you can try it out and then decide if it's worth the money or not. If you start Market Insiders, you try it, and then you realize that you hate it, well, then you can cancel your membership during your free trial and it won't even cost you a penny. But if you start Market Insiders, you try it, and then you love it, well, then you can decide if it's worth it or not for you. This way, you literally have nothing to lose. So if you want to learn more and get started with your free 10-day trial to Market Insiders, I'll put the link to where you can get started and join with the free trial in the description below. What about crypto? So I think crypto has been on the minds of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you said that you're investing in crypto. Tell me about that. What are your thoughts on crypto?
Yeah, I was really against it for a while. You look back at my early videos, and I was neutral on mainly Bitcoin. I was very neutral on it. I just didn't get it. I was like, I remember when it hit $1,000. That's when I made my first. I think I made the first video. My first ever crypto video was when Bitcoin hit $1,000.
Did you buy it then?
No. And I approached it very objectively. I'm like, this is what it is. Here's where it could be going. And I mentioned something about it like being a digital gold or being a replacement for a currency, which turned out to be pretty wrong right now. But I just covered it neutrally. I'm like, how do you invest back then? But it's very risky. And I covered like, it's gone down like 95% before, expected to do it again. And then it hit 10K and I was like, wow, this is nuts, 10K. And then it hit 17 and everyone, this is 2017, everyone was getting into crypto. So I figured, okay, I'm going to invest and just see what it's like. And for me, it was like, I wanted to get the experience of investing in it. If everyone's talking about it, I should at least try it out. I shouldn't be like sitting on the sidelines watching this. So I invested in it and I thought it was a lot of fun. Like I could see why people were obsessed with it. And I would say half the fun was being able to trade it just basically 24/7. The fact that you could go like after hours at 10 p.m. and still trading was addicting. It was fun. But it was also the community I would say, was probably like half of it. Just the fact that there's so many people out there all excited about talking, cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And it was that community aspect that made you feel like you're a part of something special. So I dabbled, and
How much did you put in when you first started buying at 17?
at first like $20K.
Okay.
And that was just meant to experiment with this and try it out, have fun with it. So I bought Bitcoin at first, and I bought it at like 17. I think I sold it like 17.5. So I was wow, I made a profit. And then I decided to go into altcoins, which...
And this is still 2017, right before the burst.
Yeah. So I dabbled in altcoins, and I wound up with... back then it was called Ryblocks. And I bought Ryblocks. And I bought a few of them. I don't remember. I don't remember what I bought, but Ryblocks was like the biggest one. I bought Ryblocks when it was like $1.85, and then I bought more at like $2.35.
Uh-huh.
And this was meant to be like the best currency ever. And now the funny thing is that like there are all these cryptos out there. Back then, a lot of them were bad. I don't want to say they were scams, but they were. We didn't have the meme aspect that we do today. But you had coins that were just promised the world and did nothing. Ryblocks is one of the few ones where like I really felt confident about their development team, what they stood for, what they wanted to do. They wanted to be like the easiest, fastest transactional currency that you could use.
Yeah.
And so I bought Ryblocks, and they just shot up. And it went to like $20.
Holy moly.
Yeah. And
how much did you put in then?
Gosh, I don't know, like $5 or $6,000 of that
So
was
you
in
10x
Ryblocks. Yeah. And then they were supposed to be listed on Binance. And I saw every single coin that got listed on Binance, saw an immediate like 15-20% jump the second it got listed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked through every other coin that got listed. I'm like, okay, so this is what's happened all the other times. And Ryblocks is supposed to be listed. So what I'm going to do is when it gets listed, I'm going to sell it right after it gets listed, because then I'll be able to get an extra profit, and everything else goes down within a week later. So I thought like I had this time perfectly. It rallied up to $40.
Wow.
And it hadn't been listed on Binance yet.
Wow.
And so I said to myself, all right, this is a lot of money. At 44, I'm going to sell it, because everyone wants it to hit 50. So I'm going to sell early at 44. Well, guess what happens? It's like the next day, they announced that they had a problem listing on Binance. Like something had happened, and they're like, it's delayed. The price dropped. And I'm like, well, it just got delayed. It's still going to be listed on Binance, but the momentum was done. And shortly after that, then BitConnect, just the whole thing imploded, which is that was like a Ponzi scheme. And it was a big scam in the industry. We could all tell it was a scam, but people wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that imploded. Bitcoin dropped, and Ryblocks pretty much immediately dropped like 80%.
Oh my God.
And at the time then, I couldn't even sell it. They had they disabled withdrawals on whatever platform I was using. I forget. Wow. It was too long ago. But anyway, they disabled withdrawals on that, so I couldn't even take my money out. Something happened. Wow. And
now you're stuck.
I was stuck. So, and I just held it. At that point, at one point, Ryblocks was trading at like $1. So I lost money on this thing, which is like hard to lose money on it.
Yeah.
So now I'm looking at Ryblocks. It's like $6, 5 or 6.
So you held on.
I held on. It's rebranded now as what's called Nano, and I'm just holding.
Wow.
And yeah, I still have it, but
that takes a lot to hold on, man. You saw a rally hundreds of percents. I mean, 10x, 20x.
I got really greedy because everyone was making so much money. And the difference between 40 and 44, I mean, let's be real. It's like, it's so stupid. But you know what? It was a great lesson for me to learn that I'm glad I learned it. And there's no, it's my own fault. I got greedy. That was a great example. I think everyone gets to a point, especially really any investment, where that happens.
Especially crypto.
Especially crypto.
Especially crypto.
Everyone, it happens. But guess what? You learn a good lesson from it, and I'm holding. It's just like I'm just gonna see what happens. That's it. I have no intention of selling it.
What else are you buying in crypto?
Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Bitcoin and Ethereum. So you believe that Bitcoin is going to be the future, or crypto is going to be the future?
I would. I I would also see it somewhat like, I know a lot of people make a lot of comparisons between like crypto and the .com bubble. And, cryptos are going up just because they're a crypto. And so I do see some sort of similarities with that of just hype and euphoria that is not justified. But I also think that there will be some winners that come out of this. I have no idea who it's going to be yet. If I were to bet money, well, obviously I'm kind of betting. I'd put it on Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Yeah.
I'd put it on those. But there's also some, like Dogecoin was something for me that I thought, because I talked about Dogecoin.
Doggy coin.
Yeah, I talked about Dogecoin like 2000, I think it was 2018 or 19. It's like as a joke. And in my video, I'm like, this is the most ridiculous thing. I didn't get it. And even on a podcast episode a year and a half ago, I put $1,000 into Dogecoin on Robinhood at a third of a penny, $1,000. And the day later, I was like, this is stupid. I'm going to sell it. And I sold it. That $1,000 at the peak would have been worth about $140,000.
No way.
At the peak, yeah. But I'm thinking that there's also an aspect to this that we haven't yet seen, and who knows if it's going to stick around, but I do think there's this community aspect that didn't quite exist in earlier days that exists now. So I do think there are these communities that build around these coins or these cryptocurrencies that do provide like almost like a foundation for what it should be trading for. And there is an aspect. I do think that community, momentum, attention, and like, I don't want to say the meme aspect of it, but there's just a different metric when you value some of these things, just in terms of what people's perception is. Who knows if that's going to stay around for the long term?
Yeah.
But at least I think in the short term, it's something that I've never been accustomed to before, and it's something that I think a lot of people are taking into consideration.
So what do you think about Shiba Inu?
Gosh, all these things surprise me. And I've been wrong so many times in the past that I'll never dismiss anything anymore, because Shiba Inu, I also talked about it when I made my first Dogecoin video. This is earlier this year, so like 10 months ago, and Dogecoin was rallying. I mentioned other currencies are hopping on the train, and Shiba Inu was one of those coins I mentioned like 10 months ago when it was nothing. And I'm like, Shiba Inu also just got introduced, and this is what it does, and it literally is like a Dogecoin killer. That's all it wants to do is surpass the value of Dogecoin. And I thought it was, again, stupid. And it did that. And it's nuts. I even made a video, and this is probably my worst aged video ever, 2017 on Decentraland. And I called this the worst thing that money could buy. And it was virtual real estate. And so basically Decentraland is like this community. It's like, now they call it a metaverse. But anyway, they were doing the metaverse in 2017.
Before
Metaverse became a thing.
Yeah.
And in that metaverse, there are plots of land that you could buy.
Yeah.
And there was a plot of land right when you go into Decentraland, like right when users start their experience, it's right there.
Yeah.
$200,000 for that plot of land.
Holy moly.
And I'm like, it's a virtual plot of land. It doesn't exist. Like, it's for sale for $200,000. And I was just like, I thought it was stupid, honestly. And I would have called that like, it's ridiculous. Why would anyone do that? Like, it's pointless. Now that plot of land is probably worth somewhere around $8-9 million.
Wow.
That plot of land. Yeah.
Would you go and buy some of that now? This virtual land?
I would highly consider it.
Really?
I really would.
At the $8 or $9 million valuation?
No, maybe not 8 or 9. I wouldn't. I couldn't justify singing that much. I would have to be worth like $200 million to justify that.
Yeah.
But not only that, but the mana, the cryptocurrency, has 100x'd. So had you even just put, $1,000 into their currency, the Decentraland currency, you'd have $100,000 a few years later. So I'm looking at these things, and I've been wrong, and I've called things stupid and just worthless so many times that I've been surprised multiple times.
Yeah.
And to the point where now I don't dismiss anything. So even though people might think that Shiba Inu is, a scam or this and that, I can't call it that, because I think at its core, it takes a lot to really definitively call something a scam.
Right.
It's really got to be deceptive. I think they're very upfront with what they are. I think it's incredibly risky. I think it's very volatile. You could lose a significant portion of your money. But there's also an aspect of it that that we've yet to see some like the real sort of passion and like community behind it. Same thing also, I've been shocked with GameStop. I mean, we have GameStop still trading almost a year later above $200 a share.
Wow.
And AMC, they call themselves the AMC apes. And AMC is like still trading about like $40 a share.
Are you an ape?
Did I invest? No, I don't think I invested in. Did I invest? I don't think I invested in AMC. No, you know what? I think maybe I did. I think some of my videos, I do a challenge where it's like for every like I'll get on a video, I'll invest 10 cents.
Oh, wow.
So I think I did that. And my condition is I just hold it for a year. So I think I did that. I did that with Dogecoin for sure. So I lost money on Dogecoin. But it's just for fun. I mean, But yeah, it's like a weird aspect that I don't know quite yet how to approach that. I think it's just, I'm sure everyone says, oh, it's a new metric, never before. It's like, this is different. I'm sure there's an aspect of that that's, not true. But I've never seen before an investment where people treat it as though it's like a religion.
Yeah.
Where if I say something negative about their cryptocurrency and their community, I'm offending them. I've never seen that doesn't quite exist. It does exist a little bit with Tesla. I feel like if you say something negative, you offend somebody.
Right.
But if you say something negative about Bitcoin, it's like you're denouncing their faith.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that before where people get that. Because I would think it's just like talking about any other stock. It's like, do you just look at it objectively? No, I disagree.
Yeah.
But no, people get upset.
I get that. I always say you got to listen to both opinions. So, I brought on guests on our channel who are huge crypto people. I talk about how I buy Bitcoin and how I buy crypto. And then I brought on a guest, Peter Schiff, who hates Bitcoin, says Bitcoin is going to zero, it's going to die. And man, people were not happy. I'm like, look, you just got to listen to both points. You don't got to listen to one or the other, but just learn from both sides. But, you're right. People get very passionate about it.
Yeah.
Are you worried about a potential crypto crash like you talked about it, but like the 2001 bubble happening again in the crypto market?
No, because right now crypto makes up, it's under 8%. Like my goal is by the end of the year, I hit 8% of my portfolio. Right now, I think it's like 6.5%, maybe 6% of my overall portfolio is cryptocurrency. So, I mean, if I lose 6%, that would be bad. But like if Bitcoin dips, I don't have that sinking feeling where it's all I could think about and I panic and you have that like gut level. I don't get that. So I invested enough in cryptocurrency knowing that I'm not going to get that feeling if it drops and I'm not going to panic. And it's enough to look at it objectively and decide at that point, like how much more I want to add to the position, if anything.
How are you buying it? Are you dollar cost averaging or are you buying it like when you see a dip, you go in and buy?
Yeah. If I see a dip, I certainly front load a little bit, but I've learned just dollar cost average in it because there've been so many dips where I've been chasing the dip or I've dumped in a lot of money. There's been some examples in the stock market too where it's like something dips. I'm like, okay, this is it. This is the dip. Invest. Dips further. Okay, this is the dip. Invest further. C3 AI was the one stock that I just kept chasing it down. It never went back up, and that was a good example of like, hey, I'm not gonna try to do too much on this. I'm just going to stick with the strategy. No matter what it does, I'm going to stick with that. So for Bitcoin, when it dropped, I think just recently to 56, I put in a little bit more money, but not so much where it's like, now I'm not going to dollar cost average in after that.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to see a Bitcoin crypto crash?
I have no idea. I'm sure. My thinking is that the bigger it gets, the more stable it's going to be. So I think seeing a 90% crash is probably unlikely. Seeing a 50% crash is probably pretty likely. I think in a few years from now, maybe we see more of like a 30% crash. I think it goes to 20, then it goes to 10. But I think within that, we're not going to see as big of an upswing. Just like we could see a 90% crash, we'll see the price 10x.
Yeah.
I think maybe we might see the price 5x, but it might crash 60%.
Interesting.
Something like that. I don't know. But
are you worried about the economy? Because I know you made a video talking about hyperinflation. Are you worried about inflation and what that could do to our economy?
I think inflation is definitely something to consider, but I'm more worried, at least from me, of just the prices of everything. This is going nuts. I'm just looking at a lot of these things. It's just like it doesn't make sense for cars to be selling at where they're selling. But I also see it as a short-term hiccup where the supply chain is completely ruined. And it makes sense that if things are delayed getting here, they're going to cost more money by the time they get here. So basically in my video, I said that realistically, I think it's going to last another 18 to 24 months. Be prepared for prices to go up higher. It's best not to keep too much cash, or more than you need to for an emergency fund. For myself, I'm not worried about it, but it is certainly something in the back of my mind, like what's going to happen to this long term, and how is this going to affect policies? But I'd say the biggest risk for myself would probably be rising interest rates.
Yeah.
Because I think rising rates definitely have the impact throughout the market, the stock market and the real estate market. So rising rates would probably be the biggest thing for me personally. But I've locked in all of my mortgages, so I'm not worried about that too much.
So the Fed has come out time and time again saying it's transitory, it's temporary. So you think that within a couple of years things will go back down or just slow down?
Well, I think they do. I mean, part of me sees it as like, well, we've introduced so much money to the market now.
Yeah.
When your expenses go up, it's hard to bring that back down, especially for a business.
Yeah.
When you start paying more, you can't say to people like, all right, well, inflation's down now, guys, so we're going to pay you 5% less this year.
Yeah.
That's now your new baseline.
Yeah, wages aren't going down.
So you have to factor that in your cost at the end of the day. I'm worried that sometimes a lot of these manufacturers will get accustomed to, well, we were backed up and now, but people were paying these prices, so let's just keep them here now, because why would we lower them now? Kevin argues that, well, they can't all agree to price fix and keep their prices the same if their own costs go down. So there could be a point where they get more efficient and they start undercutting each other and things come down. But I'm almost thinking that could take a while or longer than we expect to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we keep printing money, right? Interest rates are still super low, so more dollars keep entering our economic circulation. So it's gonna have to do something, unless we do the opposite of an increase in the monetary supply. I mean, it's going to be hard to kind of see the inflation go away. So what about the stock market? Because I know you've made videos about, worries about stock market crashes. And a lot of people are worried because they hear thoughts about inflation. They say, okay, inflation may or may not be a real concern, but let's say it is. If it is a concern, then I should move my money to something like stocks or maybe crypto or real estate. But the worry is these asset classes are at their highest. Like stock market is at the highest ever. I mean, so what do you do? I mean, are you worried about the stock market crashing?
Not really. Honestly, I remember everyone was concerned when the S&P hit like 3,300, or it was like 3,400, I think it was. So the S&P hit the high of what it was before COVID, and everyone was like, "There's no way we should be at a high," because everything just happened. We have like mass unemployment. Why is the S&P 500 trading? It's gonna crash. And that was another one of my examples where it's like I'll reinvest just to prove a point or just for content in a way. But I put $100,000 in the S&P 500 at its all-time high as proof that, like, guys, long term it's not going to matter. 66% of the time it's going to be better to do this. So if you have a 2/3 chance at making money, you should take that every single time. And looking back, I wish my only regret is not having invested more.
Yeah.
But now who knows if it could go back down to that. I have no idea. But consistently, the market has whatever I think is going to happen doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And if you think the market's overvalued, it's going to keep going up. And if you think it's undervalued, it's going to maybe go down. So I just think long term, the best thing that you could do is just keep buying in, diversify, and don't look at the prices. Because I remember so many people when the S&P hit like 2,300, they're like, it's going to go to 15. It's going to keep dropping. Yeah. And I saw so many people not invest because it's going to get worse. And the market started going up. And they're like, it doesn't make sense for the market to go up. Why is the market going up? It's going up because those people are stupid and it's about to drop. And it kept going up higher. And they're like, just wait for the crash, wait for the crash. And then it's higher than before.
Yeah.
Well, now it's too high. Now I would be investing higher than I would have back before this whole thing. It's going to crash. And it keeps going higher.
Yep.
And it's like, all right, fine. At what point do you just finally have to admit you're wrong? So ultimately the reason I'm not worried about really anything investment related is because I've diversified fairly equally in a way that I've invested basically 50-50 between real estate and stocks.
Okay.
I have enough cash on the sidelines for if something comes up, I could jump on it. I have crypto. And between all of those, if something happens to one of them, I'm not worried about the others. And I live so well below my means that even if the market goes down, there's still enough that I won't have to worry about that. So I've spent 13 years building up. So that wasn't something that just like happened overnight, but there's 13 years of strategically buying things that I think could help and add. It's like solidifying that fortress where it's like, first I got real estate and and that was consistent rental income, regardless of what happens to the market. Then it was stocks where it's more liquid. And it's cash to make sure that I'm hedging against everything else in case something happens to me.
Yeah.
And then there's crypto, just as a more speculative play that maybe I could take that risk. So
you're well positioned no matter what happens. And if things do go down, then you have the cash to go in and buy more.
Yeah. The biggest risk I would say is probably with the YouTube channel, but I've accepted that that's just part of the the.
Are you worried about YouTube? Like you're worried about your channel, something happening?
There's always. I think at least for me, I'm always vigilant about because I got a notice even that my channel was scheduled for deletion by mistake. Do you not see this?
No, I did not see.
Oh,
that.
You got to watch my channel.
I do watch some of your videos, man. Right. Tell me about that.
Okay, so this is like 4 months ago. I logged in YouTube and I got a notice that said my my channel had been flagged as spam and was going to be deleted. And I think it was like 14 days. The whole channel was going to be down. I freaked out. I'm like, what do you mean it's spam? Why is it a spam? And I thought like, what did I do? Like, was I spamming something? Was I doing something I shouldn't have done?
Yeah.
And so I reached out to somebody at YouTube and they were looking into it. And they said, yeah, no, it's weird. Your channel is flagged for deletion. And so they looked into it. And then after a few days, I was panicking these few days. But I was also like, well, if it happens, then like this is meant to be. Like this is out of my control. What can I do? So anyway, a few days later, they got back to me. And the spam comments where it's like people impersonate you in the comments. They're like, DM this number.
Yeah.
I joked on someone else's video. Me and Kevin posted a video or something. And I commented. And someone else commented back and said, haha, this is actually Graham. He's not the bot. Because so many people pretend to be me as the bot comments. Yeah. So then I responded back to that person. Thank you for your inquiry. Please text Mrs. Johnson at, and I did that like it was as a joke.
Yeah.
But apparently that was enough to pick up YouTube's spam filter. And they're very strict about that to the point where they just start deleting channels now after 14 days.
Oh my God.
So my channel got mixed in with that. But it's stuff like that that you just never know. I mean, stuff that you wouldn't think about that's outside of your control. So there's always something. And I just seen so because YouTube is all I watch basically.
Yeah.
And I've just seen just different things happen to creators. Algorithm changes were a big one. Things go in and out of style, like Amazon FBA back when we really first started, like those were the channels that got big. And then 2017, for 6 months, it was crypto channels.
Yeah.
And those are the channels. And then they just got decimated when crypto went down. Yeah. They all disappeared. And so I've seen so many waves in YouTube that I think it's so variable that like every month I'm like, all right, I just mentally I'm like, all right, this is it. This is the last month.
Yeah.
Just because you never know.
Wow.
So
man.
I treat it like that, but I've made sure to at least diversify within YouTube. So just like I have investments, and I've diversified those investments, I've also diversified my channels. So I got like the main channel. That's like the bread and butter. But then I also have the Graham Stephan show where I do reaction content. It's a different audience now than the main channel. The people who watch the two are more so separate, which is not something that I would expect in the beginning, but they're separate audiences. And then the Iced Coffee Hour podcast, that's a separate audience than the vlog channel. That's pretty much the same audience, but it's another channel. So I've definitely tried my best to diversify within YouTube so that if something were to happen to one of them, I have something else.
Wow.
It's a different audience that just in case.
Wow. So you're on camera, like pretty much when you're awake, you're on camera.
Every day I do something. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
People are loving it. Our audience loves it. I appreciate you taking time out to do this, man.
Yeah, this is fun. I'm glad we did this early. It got me up earlier than expected.
Exactly, man. Got your coffee going. I don't drink coffee. I drink tea. One question I do got to ask you, though. Yeah. Do you like guac? Are you a guac guy?
I do, but it's the extra money.
Yeah?
It's too expensive.
Well, we call extra guac a symbol of extra wealth.
Oh, wow.
I never asked you, but I figured I'd ask you on camera so we know the answer.
Yeah.
And it's getting more expensive.
It is. Like I think Chipotle now is you know what it was? I went to Subway the other day.
Yeah.
And before, I think it was like 75 cents. And this was like 2006, the last time I really started going to Subway. But it was like 75 cents per 6 inches of avocado.
Per 6 inches of avocado.
Yeah. Now it's $1.50.
Wow.
So it's $3 extra if you want avocado
That's
on your
nuts.
sandwich. And I'm thinking, well, these are dollar avocados that you
Yeah,
buy at Trader
exactly.
Joe's.
You got four servings right there.
Yeah, and they use half an avocado per foot long. So I'm like, you should be able to just go buy it yourself and put it on yourself.
I feel you on
I've been
that,
tempted to go to Subway if I do that and be like, here's my avocado. Can you
put it on?
Can you just do this, please?
Man. Well, that's a good video idea, man. I'll try it out. Well, thank you for coming on. Any
Thank
last
you.
words you'd like to leave with our viewers?
Yeah, you got to subscribe. You got to hit the like button on the channel. And you got to comment down below for the YouTube algorithm.
I appreciate it, Graham.
do
Thank
that.
you again, man.
Yeah, and you got to subscribe to your newsletter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My man.
Cool.
I appreciate it, Graham.
Thanks.
They're going to buy Bitcoin. They're going to sell all their altcoins and all their other random things because those things are risky and competitive and insecure and regulated. And Bitcoin is the least risky, hardest to regulate, hardest to tax, hardest to break, most universally desirable thing in the universe. There's nothing that's more robust that you can get your hands on.